Alright, what's up everybody, it's your boy Duplays here, back with some more reactions. Control Resonant first look preview. This is no Souls-like, it's faster. No further ado, let's get into it, not wasting y'all's time.
Control Resonant, the sequel to IGN's 2019.
This is IGN, by the way, obviously.
Made a few things clear right off the bat. First, we wouldn't be playing as Jesse Faden anymore, but rather her brother, Dylan. Second, we'd no longer be confined to the brutalist architecture of the oldest house. Instead, we'd be trying to navigate our way through a Manhattan that had literally folded up on itself, Inception style, as a result of the hiss getting out.
Alright, right as he says that, we know the first game has been confined to a government type of building. I don't remember the name. I'll probably put it up on screen or something in edit. But it's the first game is confined to a building. And now, you see the hardware requirements that required, that needed. Now it's going to be the entire open New York, Manhattan. Can you imagine how much more hardware intensive this game is going to be? This is not getting Steam Deck verified. Like I don't think it is. So it's time to whip out the old PS5. Well, I don't have one, but for the people who do, and have a Steam Deck as well, or whatever lower end hardware you had. Yeah, this is going to be way more intensive. Obviously, I mean, it's a newer game, but...
And third,
yeah,
Dylan isn't wielding Jesse's badass transforming service weapon, or even one similar to it. Instead, he's got his own badass transforming weapon, the Aberrant, a massive hammer that brings combat into much closer quarters than before. Remedy showed off a bit.
You know, that hammer kind of feels like, it kind of feels Final Fantasy-ish. Kind of like how Cloud, I think his name is, the blonde guy from Final Fantasy. I know I'm gonna get butchered in the comments if I even get any, just for saying this. Or maybe I have it right, I don't know. But he has like that huge sword. Let me look it up. Sword, Final Fantasy. Yeah, I'm right, the Buster Sword. Yeah, I was right, it is Cloud's sword. And I got his name right. It kind of also has like a Kingdom Hearts vibe to it too, because I think I remember seeing a weapon looking like it from Kingdom Hearts, Birth by Sleep on 3DS. That's the only one I've ever played.
Gameplay at Sony's recent State of Play, but I've had the pleasure since then of getting an extended hands-off look at more gameplay, along with learning more information from the lead gameplay designer and the creative director. What I came away with surprised me. I adored the first Control, but early indications are that I might like Resonant even more. Why? It's
way
not
more.
just that it's a markedly different and not just samey sequel, but it's that its melee combat might scratch my Ninja Gaiden style itch. Quote, "This is not a Souls-like," said lead gameplay designer Sergei Mohov.
I can tell off of his name that he's Russian, more than likely.
It's a forward, action-driven, aggressive playstyle action game. The player is
That's
very
quite
much
the mouthful.
in charge and not simply reacting. The main driver of combat is you. Tell me more, Remedy.
Do you feel it? Something is coming.
Remedy is calling Control Resonant an
Kaleidoscope
action RPG, and while the studio confirmed there won't be a ton of gear or inventory management, it's not a survival game, it's an action game, said creative director Mikhail Kasurinen. The team did show off some of its systemic depth. For one, there are talents, which Remedy says are, quote, "the glue that ties your weapons and combat abilities together."
If I remember correctly, this was in the first game as well. I haven't played it in a while though.
Such example is Perfect Dodge, which grants you a temporary boost to your next attack if you, as the name implies, time your dodge perfectly. Others include Extended Dash, self-explanatory, Backstab Damage, and Sustained Assault. Remedy also made it clear that you can't unlock everything in a single playthrough. You'll also...
I guess that means New Game Plus. That heavily implies that there's a New Game Plus. So you run through the story again, and then you unlock the final things. Because that's what I had to do in God of War. I still haven't even beat all of the Valkyries yet. I have one more to kill, Gondul on Muspelheim. I still haven't beat her, but I'm getting better. I will eventually.
Have ample opportunity to customize your build in the Gap. No, not the department store. It functions similar to Alan Wake 2's Mind Place. Here, you can test out various abilities earned by defeating Resonants, the bosses. The Gap also allows you to tweak your Aberrant, including the primary forms, secondary forms, and combo enders, or finishers. A big goal is giving players more choice with their gameplay style. Like, for instance, if you'd prefer to tailor your build to focus on turning enemies to fight on your side, you can do that. Lots of stats are also exposed in the Gap if you want to min-max your build. Less meaningful customization, meaning the cosmetic kind rather than the gameplay kind, happens in FBC field offices around Manhattan. Remedy describes these as the heart of FBC activity, saying they'll evolve over time as the Hiss crisis overtaking Manhattan deepens. As everyone there is trying to figure out how to deal with the disaster out the window, you can customize your outfit.
That's very trippy stuff. Yeah, this is what I'm most interested in hearing about, like what the city is like. I just wanted to see the time.
Manhattan, which is split into several districts, aims to be visually distinct from zone to zone. Remedy wants to have more.
It looks and feels very dystopian, and obviously, you know, that was the intended aesthetic and slash mood.
Visual variety across the world. The team also knows that the map was frustrating in the first game, and so they showed off a work-in-progress version of it that clearly delineates each zone and seemed easy enough to follow along with. But what of the markers on that map? You'll have your choice of two major categories of quests at any given time: Dylan's Journey, aka the Golden Path, and World Quests, or basically side quests. In addition, there are smaller action bits and tiny puzzles, seemingly akin to unmarked micro gameplay moments. Through these, you can discover both secrets and lore. We want the world to be someplace you want to return to, Kacernan said. In one early mission I got a brief look at, Dylan enters the Central District office of Zoe de Vera, a new character to control who speaks to Dylan through his earpiece throughout the campaign.
You know, seeing this shot where he just like... Let me go back real quick.
Who speaks to Dylan through his earpiece throughout
this shot. That shot, to see him just like jump into the air and then the camera tilts. It's very reminiscent of Gravity Rush. It kind of feels like a spiritual successor to that. Even though I know we have Gravity Rush 2 on PS4, but I guess it feels like a successor to the successor. So it could be like a Gravity Rush 3 in a sense. I haven't played, well, I've played a little bit of it on Steam Deck here, because I have the PS Vita emulator. But I don't have to. I'll get to it someday. I always say this, and I never play them.
She also assigns him missions. She's often found listening to music, and Remedy...
Another interruption.
She also assigns him missions.
Hold on. Let me time it right. This, how the road just abruptly stops here, and then just goes up. It reminds me of the episode of SpongeBob when you were stuck at rock bottom. Like, the thought just immediately occurred to me. And then it's like, aside from that, the cars being, you know, perfectly level on the ground, even though it's tilted at a 90-degree angle, now it starts to look like this is the one that's upright when you pay attention to how level the cars are. It's very trippy, but I mean, obviously it's a... What was the word you used? A tilted world. So it's supposed to mess with your brain in a perspective, you know. In a perspective wise, it's gonna mess with your brain. That's definitely the intention.
She's often found listening to music, and Remedy promises that music will play a big part in Resonant's world building. A clip of a conversation between Dylan and Zoe showcased the new dialogue system, which sadly I don't have footage of, but now not only very welcomingly gives you multiple choices for every answer, but now not only...
Let me go back real quick. Why does this look like a picture that was taken in real life? This doesn't even look like it was rendered in-game. This looks like somebody... It looks like they took a picture in real life and they actually just like imported it into the engine, the game engine. This doesn't look like a game. I know the games look hyper realistic nowadays, but this really doesn't even look like a game. This an in-game resource. This looks like a real-life pic that somebody imported from real life into the game engine and then pasted it on that model. Well, yeah.
Very welcomingly gives you multiple choices for every answer, but also lets you carry out these conversations while moving.
Any updates for me?
Kind of. You'll know it when you hear it.
Remedy's emphasis on player-initiated action even extends to not cementing you in place during dialogue sequences, which I can appreciate. Oh, and on this note, Remedy said that while Dylan's dialogue choices are there to give you a bit more agency over character interactions, they're not going to meaningfully alter the story. In other words, Remedy confirmed there won't be multiple endings to Resonant's story.
Aww. I'm wondering if there's multiple endings in the first Control story, because that's what it implies. It's almost like they're saying, hey, we're not doing it like the last game. I wouldn't know though, because I didn't play it to completion. And then it's like, because you spend so much time away from the game, because, you know, work and life and the YouTube grind and all of these things, you almost feel like you have to start over because you've been detached for it for so long that you might as well just delete your save and start from scratch. So, because there's a lot of games I have to learn how to replay, because I don't be playing games like that anymore. If you notice on the channel, I don't even play games like that, and I need to get back on that. Starting this weekend, I'm gonna or probably I'll start recording when I get home from work tonight. I'm gonna start recording the Grand Theft Auto firefighter missions. I'm weeks behind on that. I should have been done that already, but I keep putting it off. That's on me though. That's my procrastination at work.
As Control Resonant is only at its alpha stage of development, I wasn't yet able to see a continuous, uninterrupted section of gameplay. Instead, I got a look at a number of 1 to 2 minute gameplay clips. But once Remedy broke out the action, my eyes opened wider. Control's melee-oriented sequel is not only faster paced than its predecessor, it's faster paced than I was expecting. I was mentally prepared for a Souls-light experience, maybe something akin to the Star Wars Jedi games from Respawn. But no, in the action I saw, it's got some lightning in its veins. I won't call it Ninja Gaiden.
I like that. I like how he just like spawned up that rock creature or whatever it is, and then it shoots like toxins from its whatever it is. I don't even, what power is that? How do you even put a name on that ability? I don't know.
It's in the Devil May Cry Bayonetta neighborhood for sure. Dylan was constantly jumping up, floating, attacking, dodging, strafing, performing finishing moves, and rinsing and repeating in rapid succession. And, I should add, all of this was happening with a lot of enemies surrounding Dylan at once. These are clearly not going to be one-on-one fights, which I admit is what I was expecting based on the gameplay clips teased at the end of the debut trailer. Oh, and speaking of fights, I also got a slightly less brief look at the Dancer Resonant fight, very briefly.
Real quick, again. Something about this is very unsettling. This looks like dead bodies just floating and in a perfect circle around this light. YouTube, go away.
Brief look at the Dancer Resonant fight, very briefly featured at the end of the State of Play gameplay trailer. It's not enough to make any judgments on just yet, especially not without getting to play them for myself, but they've certainly got the potential to be memorable moments in the campaign.
That looks like Nightmare Fuel, that's what that looks like.
In a Q&A session after the gameplay presentation, I learned a bit more about what Remedy has planned for this sequel. The team did preface the conversation by saying they'd talk more about narrative and characters later in the year, closer to Resonant's release, but for now, there are nevertheless some relevant new details to share. First, on the technical side, Remedy has tuned its in-house game engine Northlight to enhance draw distance and support more enemies on screen at once. They also
Yes,
want to
sir.
make sure they're hitting a solid 60 frames per second on all platforms. Second, will enemies respawn? Mojave replied, quote, "To a degree, yes, but there's more nuance," end quote. Apparently, that nuance ties to the narrative that Remedy isn't quite ready to dive into yet. Next, is a fully range-based build possible? Mojave said, quote, "The main weapon is the Aberrant, and that's Dylan's preferred method of combat. It's never going to be ranged only," so that answers that. Interestingly, Kasurinen said, quote, "Music plays a huge part. Zoe's..."
Yeah, that's undeniably true because the audio that's playing as my guy is narrating this is very eerie, is very mysterious, is very Stranger Thingsy. Particularly the intro music when the Stranger Things text is coming in. That's the type of music I'm hearing right now.
And it's part of how they bond. We don't want music to just be a thing you listen to. It becomes part of the overall flow. The music is part of that experience, and that's hugely important to us, and we want to find our own way of doing it. As for influences on Resonant, Kasurinen acknowledged Neon Genesis Evangelion and, for the dialogue system, one of my favorite walking simulators. Firewatch was a big inspiration for this, he said. Finally, as expected, you certainly do not need to have played the first Control or the Remedy Connected Universe Alan Wake games to enjoy the story or characters of Resonant. And with that, my very impressive demo of Control Resonant ended, and I was left wondering if there's a chance we might be playing this sequel sooner rather than later. No, Remedy isn't ready to reveal a release date just yet, and I'd still wager it's going to ship in the second half of the year, but if the studio is showing off behind closed doors gameplay right after its first gameplay trailer...
Hold on, I need to remember something. Is alpha or beta first? I think it's alpha first. Yeah. But I don't. Is it coming this year though? Because when he said said alpha, I was thinking, all right, it's probably 2 more years. But then again, if they did reveal it, then that means it's not too far away. Probably months away. Does it say on the Steam? Well, it wouldn't stay on the Steam page. Oh, it's coming. Oh, there it is. There it is. 2026. Okay, so I know for certain now. More than likely, the alpha footage was from the past,
which itself came very shortly after its reveal trailer, combined with the looming meteor impact that will be Grand Theft Auto 6's release in November.
Yes, sir.
Can't help but be left with a healthy dose of optimism that this could land closer to Control 1's August release month than Alan Wake 2's late October window. Is this just wishful thinking on my part? Quite possibly, and with how packed this year's slate of big games is,
that's terrifying.
I'm not sure there's really a quiet time that any game will get all to itself. But after seeing Control Resonant's aggressive, fast-paced combat for myself, I'm even more fired up to get my hands on it. For more previews of the biggest upcoming games, don't miss...
Is this part of Control Resonant, or is this an entirely different game?
WWE 2K20.
Oh, okay, because I'm like, yeah, that doesn't look like it at all. That looks like WWE.
And Samson, a Tindleston story. And for everything else in the world of video games, stick with IGN.
IGN has like 19,000 videos on their channel. Oh, wait, I think it's actually more than that. Let me check real quick. 178k videos. Imagine that. 21 billion views. I feel like they should have... You know what? They're rich enough as is. 320k. That's insane. But anywho, guys, that was it. That was my oh, whoops. That was my reaction to Control Resonant gameplay impressions. Hope y'all enjoyed. I will see y'all in the next one. Oh, don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe. I need to say that in the beginning of the video. In the middle, I mean, not in the beginning. I used to say it in the beginning. I'm stopping that though. Comment, like, share, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Follow my socials in the description. Goodbye.